Sagittarius, thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot forecast. Stopping by and hanging out with me, I should say. The monthlies are kind of long. I do like to break the month down into 4 different sections. So for November, the first 3 sections are exactly a week, and then the last section will be 9 days. So what we're looking at right now is November the 1st through the 7th. And I like to break the months down like this because I think it's good to be able to look at the flow of energy as it moves through the month rather than just one overarching set of energies, because, you know, that's only going to be an application so long. A month is kind of a long time to expect that to hold true for the whole time. Just realizing I don't think I silenced my phone. Let me do that. I don't like to be distracted while I'm doing videos for you guys. Alright. Okay, Sagittarius. Let's put your card November 1st through 7th. You can see you've already got some interesting things showing up. We'll dig into them after all the cards are down and we can see a little bit more detail. Okay, Sagittarius. We're going to start off with your environment, and your environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. For most people it shows up as home generally, but I have seen it show up as school or as work. Once in a while it shows up as your own aura and your own body as your environment. So you want to be kind of open about where this might be in your particular situation. I think that you'll probably recognize it, especially once we're actually in this time frame, but even leading up to it, you're probably going to be able to recognize it if it's going to resonate with you. So what I'm looking at with your environment is really interesting. We've got a lot of contradictions going on here. It looks to me like there's some kind of, do I want to say false start? I think there is something about going back to something in your environment or going back to an environment. These cards play out in different ways. So this could be actually about your environment literally, or it could be about something you're doing in your environment. So you could literally be returning to your environment. You could be coming back to a place that you've been to before, or there could be something about your environment that was put on the back burner that you're bringing back out. I don't know. In summertime, this would be if you had put away, you know, all of the patio furniture for the winter and you're bringing that back out. That would be one example of how this would manifest in a very tangible way. This can also have to do with people in your environment. You could have a person that was in your environment that left and now they're coming back. That could be going on too. Or you could be going back to an old environment. Now, the next thing I see about the environment though is that whatever this is, whether you're going back to an environment or whether you're bringing something back from the past and making it more active in your environment again, now you're bringing an end to that really quickly, all within the same week, okay? And you're bringing an end to it because you're manifesting something better. You're manifesting something that is an upgrade. So if you've gone back to an old environment, I think you're going to be leaving it and going to something better. Or if there's something that you are bringing back into your environment, if it's a person, you may be realizing really quickly this is not working out, and letting them find a different environment to be in, and that makes you feel much better, makes you feel much more calm and at peace and like you can do your thing. If this is something that used to be in your environment that you haven't paid that much attention to lately, and now you're making it more active. Once again, you're just making it active for a short time, and then you're letting that go. You're cutting that interaction with that thing. So this could be maybe maybe you have an old pasta maker that you haven't used in forever. So you pull it out of the cupboard. It's probably way back in the corner because it hasn't been used in so long. And you realize that you've got a piece missing, or it's not working exactly the way it should. Well, you're happy to see the old pasta maker, but not the way it's working. So now you're upgrading the pasta maker and you're getting rid of the old one. It could play out with something like that. You know, doesn't have to be a pasta maker, just an example, but something that you're bringing back that you used to interact with more in your environment. You're realizing it's not working, and you're going to some upgraded version or upgraded form of that. That could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be the actual environment itself. Okay, I think we spent enough time on that first set of cards, don't you? We're already 6 minutes in. Holy Toledo. All right, let's see if I'm that long-winded for the rest of this week. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your subconscious leanings, Sagittarius. Subconscious leanings. You definitely are working on manifesting something that you want, okay? Whether this is in your environment or something else completely different, you're working on manifesting something that you want, and you have all the tools at your disposal, okay? And what you're working on manifesting is you want to detach from something, you want to separate from something, and I think that you want to go out and explore new things. So you want to detach from what's old and comfortable and manifest explorations of new things. And that's what's going on in your subconscious mind. Like, how do I actually make that happen? That's for Sagittarius. I guess all of this is for Sagittarius, right? Okay. Next thing that I want to take a peek at talks to me about your learning style and also your communication style, particularly as you're going through this time frame. So, learning style, you are picking up information super, super, super quick right now. I do think there's something that is fascinating you, and your curiosity is really drawing you in, and I think you're spending an intense amount of energy learning about that thing that fascinates you. And I think that really all of your learning or information acquiring or researching energy is all being funneled towards whatever this is that has you so fascinated, at least as much as you can get away with. If there are things you have to learn for work or things you have to learn to get along in life, I don't see you not learning those things. I just don't see them being the priority. I think this thing that you're fascinated with is much more the priority here. Communication style. So there is a lot of communication going on right now, very friendly, open communication about all kinds of different things, all right? You do have somebody in your sphere of influence that their communication can tend to be sort of, well, your communication with them can tend to be sort of cold and a little bit confusing as far as they're concerned. Like, they don't even understand exactly what you're trying to tell them sometimes. And then you've got somebody who you're communicating with them by giving gifts or by sharing the material goods that you have, whether you want to call it a gift or whether you want to call it, you know, if you're just collaborating, if you both share the same accounts or whatever. There's something going on here where you're sharing something that you have with somebody else. For some of you, this type of conversation or communication is going to be in the form of gift giving. But it's interesting that that comes up as communication, something monetary or tangible comes up as part of your communication during this time frame. All right, next thing that we're looking at. This talks to me about your work. And I'm funny about work. Work can be that thing that you do to make a living. It is. And it's also those things that we do to improve ourselves for our own personal happiness. That's what I call inner work, and the other is outer work. So we're going to start with outer work first. Outer work, it looks like you're taking charge of some kind of project. For some of you, this is going to be construction. I'm hearing that quite strongly. So for some of you, this is going to be construction. You're putting together all the plans, getting everything ready to go. You may be more in a supervisory role than an actual hands-on role. And I think that you're not liking this that much, actually, Sagittarius. I think you really like having your hands right in the middle of everything. And it makes you feel like if you're not right in the middle of it, if all you're doing is planning and giving the orders, it makes you feel like you don't really have your finger on the pulse of whatever is going on with this project. So that's what I see going on for work right now. For some of you, I feel like this is actually a promotion that you've been given, that you're making these plans and setting forth with the directions. Let's look at inner work. Right now, Sagittarius, you're having a really hard time with self-esteem. And it seems like you're having a really hard time with self-esteem because there's somebody who you give a lot of weight to in your life. In other words, you really value their opinion, who has said something or done something that has made you question your own worth. And so the inner work here is about getting back up with that self-esteem, understanding more about who you are and what is your place in the universe. Because when we understand that, then self-esteem becomes unshakable. Even when we understand it in a very general, vague type of way. Alright, let's look next, Sagittarius, at where your personalities are growing or expanding right now. So Sagittarius, I think you guys are kind of tricky. You guys are instigating a conversation, a debate, a fight maybe even. You're instigating it. You're stirring it up. You're basically setting up somebody to fight with you or debate with you or conversate with you. Is conversate a word? Have a conversation with you. Coming from a standpoint that they know to be true, while you are coming from a completely different standpoint that you know to be true. And you're setting this up for a very focused purpose. You want that person to come back into your life at whatever level they were before. You want to interact with that person on a regular basis again. This can be a romantic situation. This can be a friend. This could even be a family member. I will tell you that I am not leaning towards romantic situation. I think this is some other person that is of value to you in your life that you want to have come back. And I think that you're seeing this, stirring up this debate or this argument or this fight, you're seeing this as a way to get them to re-engage with you. It's almost like, to me it looks like this person really hasn't been paying that much attention to you. Maybe they're not even communicating with you. And you're deciding that maybe if you poke the bear, you'll get a reaction. That's what you're going for here. You're poking the bear. Hope that works out well for you. Seems dangerous. All right, let's look next at things that you stand for during this particular time frame. So this is going to be something that you've had a conversation with somebody about, or maybe they've even confronted you about it, and you've had to defend your position. Well, you don't have to. We don't have to do anything. But I think that you felt like you had to, and I think you did. Okay? All right. So what do we have? Okay. So it looks like there is something that you really enjoy. And what you really enjoy is preparing to bring in the money, honey. You like making the preparations to have the money come in. And you really enjoy this. Okay? And it's interesting to me because, yeah, everybody likes to get paid. Everybody likes having money in their pocket or in their account, more like nowadays. But this is a little different. You like getting prepared to have that money come in, getting prepared to be paid. So this could be talking about maybe you like setting up a situation that you know will pay you. That could be the preparation. You could also enjoy the idea of knowing that money is coming in and preparing for where you're going to spend that money. So there's a couple of ways that I can see off the top of my head this could be manifesting. Anyway, you really enjoy preparing to have money come in. And so somebody has said something to you about this, and you've had to explain yourself with this. So what we're going to look at next is with this other person, how they view you after you've had this conversation about enjoying preparing to have money come in. They feel like that you are really stressed out. They also feel like you are not being truthful with them. And they also feel like, that's interesting. They feel like you have a secret about somebody in your past and some type of negative experiences with somebody in your past that makes you stress out. So where your perspective is, you're really happy with this King of Cups about planning with this Nine of Wands for money to come in with the Seven of Pentacles. I know a lot of readers read this as waiting for the harvest. I don't. Look at this. She's got the pentacles in the basket. There's more on the tree that she can pick. This is not about waiting. For me, a Seven of Pentacles is payday. If it comes in reverse, then it's about having to wait. This is not in reverse. So you are presenting yourself as happy to prepare for money to come in. So maybe this is about making a budget and making sure you know what you're going to do with the money so it doesn't get spent in a way that you end up regretting later. They see you as being stressed out, and I dare say they see you as being stressed out because of something that happened in the past that you don't feel like spilling the beans on, where you had some kind of bad experience, probably with another person, about money going out the window because there weren't plans about what to do with it. Okay? That's the dynamic that's happening there. Now, let's move on. Let's move on. Next thing that we're going to look at talks to me about the flex point during this time frame. So this is where things start to take a little bit of a different shape for you, possibly go in a different direction. Is this Sagittarius? It looks to me like I just want to feel this through before I start spilling the beans, because I want to make sure that what I'm telling you is really what I'm feeling. And sometimes finding the words to go with what I'm feeling is not the easiest thing. Okay, you have somebody in your life that you're being a little bit sneaky or manipulative with. And you're taking this sneaky or manipulative action because you're worried about the direction that this person is taking. And because you are feeling protective of this person. So rather than telling this person the truth or acting up front with this person, as a means of protecting this person, you are keeping certain information from them, or you're creating some kind of illusion for them that just isn't the truth. That's really interesting. I mean, it's like the best intentions here. I'm not one of those people that believes that, you know, any actions are justified by the end result. Are that way. I'm not so comfortable with what I'm seeing here. Let's see what else is happening. Okay. Once again, we have another card indicating worry, and you're stalking. Like you're keeping tabs on somebody because you're worried about them. This is, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but I don't candy code anything, and I will throw anybody under the bus whenever it comes up. And if this is the message Spirit's given me, this is the message Spirit's given me. I can't do anything about that. I'm just going to tell you, this is an ego thing. This is more of an ego thing on your part. Yes, you are genuinely worried about this person. You're creating this illusion or this dishonesty because you're worried about this person. You're actually keeping tabs on them, possibly even stalking them heavily because you're worried about them. But all of this is ego. All of this is ego. And this is ego that is coming out because what's going on with you, inside of you, Sagittarius, is that you're having a hard time believing that this person is going to be okay without your help if they're not leaning on you. So that's why you're doing the super stalker thing here. That's why you're worried. You just think, oh, they can't make it without me. How are they going to do? What are they going to do? That's why you're creating illusions. You're trying to protect them from things that you think are going to hurt them. But it's ego. It's your ego here. Which tells me that if you were not being deceptive or creating illusion, yes, this person would have to face something head on. And it might be hurtful. Probably would be hurtful to them. But the fact that this is coming up as more of an ego thing than an actual genuine issue tells me that they would handle that hurt just fine. And this is dangerous area to tread, Sagittarius, because when you are overprotective of somebody because of your ego, what ends up happening in the end? The other person ends up resenting that and resenting you for those actions. End up resenting that other person because they can do their thing without you. And you just really don't want that. Okay? So this is heavy duty codependency energy here. Okay? Heavy duty. I mean, I couldn't be more clear. Heavy duty codependency energy here. I can throw that word around. I am heavily codependent myself, so guess what? I recognize it when I see it. Okay? And I'm not judging anybody because I've been through it. Done a lot of healing work around it. Still go through it. Not to the same degree, though. So I'm not judging you, but I am asking you to reconsider those actions and reconsider your motives. What else is going on at the same time? I like this. So it looks to me like at the same time that you're doing this illusionary stuff and stalking, all of this stuff, you're also having this idea, like you understand that, hey, I need to stop this. That's already in the energy on the table that I put down before I even started talking to you. So even if I hadn't warned you, or thrown a heads up, you still would have been questioning and saying to yourself, you know what I'm doing is not right. I have to shut this down. I have to stop this. This is a cycle. I've been protecting this person for too long, and when I sit back and watch, they actually can handle stuff. And so it's time for you to make a transformation, and you're realizing this. Even as you're doing this, you're realizing that it's time for you to make some changes. I'm liking this. So to me, this says that you may even change your actions mid-stride. You may start off creating that illusion or trying to shelter somebody from something, and then once you've stalked them a little bit, you may realize, I'm doing this for me, not for the other person. And then that's going to kick in that, okay, you know what? I've got to change myself here because what I'm doing is not healthy. That's what I'm seeing. I think even if I hadn't given you the heads up, you guys would have come to that conclusion already. That's really nice. Okay, I'm liking that. Let's look at where we see you at the end of this first week, Sagittarius. We do see you making plans. Now I'm looking back at something here. Yep. Okay. So we do see you making plans. And we see the plans that you have actually have to do with the idea of no longer collaborating with somebody. You're planning on how to do things in a more independent way. And I think you're doing a lot of research on how you can do things in a more independent way. Whether that is no longer collaborating with a life partner, whether that is no longer collaborating with a business partner or a friend, you're making plans about how to make that separation, how to make that detachment, and how to move forward and do your own thing. That's where we see you at the end of this week, and that's making plans. So we don't see a lot of action there. This is still a lot of thought, a lot of putting ideas together and figuring out how to make them work. So we don't see you actually taking action yet, but we do see you making plans, just to be clear. Okay, so thank you guys for being here. I do appreciate it. I hope I didn't come down on you guys too hard. I really was not trying to be judgmental as much as I feel like in the position that I'm in, it is my job to point out when things aren't going the way we might like them to go or in the most healthy way, so that those of you who are out there who are listening can say, oh yeah, well, I want to change that, if you choose to. I mean, if you still want it to roll that way, okay, that's your choice. But I do feel like I'm here to help other people to make better decisions and choices for their lives moving forward, to be more productive in their lives. And so if I don't give a heads up when I see that it needs to be thrown out there, then I am letting myself down and letting you guys down. So please don't take it personally. I hope you won't. And let me go ahead and take a break, and I'll come back and we'll look at week 2. Welcome back, Sagittarius. This time we are looking at November 8th through the 14th. I forgot to change my little thing reminding me. Alright, so we're looking at November 8th through the what kind of energies are flowing for you during that week, Sagittarius. See what comes up after we get a nice shuffle on this, shall we? Let's find out. All right, all the cards are on the table. Let's see what's coming up for you guys. What do we have? What do we have? Okay, we're looking at home environment. Well, excuse me, let me back up. We're looking at environment, which will probably be home for most of you, but it doesn't have to be for all of you. All right, so it looks like whenever it comes to your environment this time, you have some choices to make, and either choice is a good choice, or if you have more than two, still, whatever choices you have are a good choice. You can't make a wrong choice here whenever it comes to your environment. I don't know, are you painting your bedroom and you're looking at about 3 different paint colors and they all are fine? But there's something going on like that, and I think that you are impatient to hurry up and make this choice. And the idea that you're impatient to hurry up and make this choice does imply to me that there is something that you're waiting for as you make this choice, and that could be somebody else's input or opinion. But definitely there's a choice that you're working on. Whatever you decide is going to be a good choice, no matter how you slice it, so it's all good. Your only issue that we see coming up at all is just that you're impatient about, let's hurry up and make this choice. All right, next thing that we're looking at has to do with your subconscious leanings. What do we have? What do we have? What do we have? Okay, so you've got a situation where you're not getting along with somebody who you would consider some type of partner, whether they're a business partner, a friend that does things with you, a romantic interest, a significant other, spouse, whatever this might be. There's somebody that you are not getting along with, and you're not only not getting along with them, like you're also just not communicating with them. All right, and this is definitely your choice. You have decided to cut off communication with this person, Sagittarius, and I think that in your subconscious leanings, you're trying to decide, do I want to continue talking to this person? Do I want to reopen communication with this person or not? And have I been quiet long enough that it would make a difference? And you're deciding here between November 8th and the 14th, you're deciding, no, I have not been quiet long enough. I'm not opening that can of worms of communicating with them again. That's not happening. I kind of like the quiet. I'm going to keep the quiet going. That's what's going on in your subconscious mind. All right, so let's look at communication and learning during this time frame. What do we have? Ooh, Sagittarius, you're doing a lot of learning through gossip. Are your sources reputable? It's the first thing I want to ask you when I see this. There's a lot of gossip happening. How much of it is really true? You know, gossip is less than reliable normally. So you're learning a lot of things through gossip, and it is actually leaving you confused. So I think you may be recognizing, even as you're learning it, that the source may not be as reliable as it would be nice if they were. Things are definitely changing, though, and I think that is this you changing or the other person changing? This is life around you, both changing, actually. So things are definitely changing, and I think you're understanding more about how those changes are impacting you and would impact any interactions between you and this person. But I think you're also learning about changes going on in the other person's life as well. La da 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 da, la da 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 da. Yeah, I think that's all I'm really going to say about learning at the moment. Communication during this time frame. Well, we do have, once again, somebody that you're being pretty cold and frosty with. We saw that last time frame. We've got that coming up again this time frame. You do have friends that you're talking to. Of course, we kind of know that because you're listening to the gossip, right? So there are friends that you're communicating with pretty freely. actually, and you may even be doing a lot of talking about emotions or about things that are important to you on an emotional level. And what else is happening here as far as communication? I think you're really communicating strongly about your self-worth and what you will and won't put up with. And I think part of that is because you're thinking about that during this time frame as well. Okay, we're going to move away from that. And next we're going to look at work. Work, work, workity, work, work, work for Sagittarius. You are working. That's quite clear. La da 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 da. Okay. Is this somebody else or is this Sagittarius? Sagittarius, what I'm picking up is that you're distracted at work. As you go through this time frame, there's something going on that is distracting you. You're trying to really focus and you are getting a lot accomplished, but distraction is an issue. And I think that that distraction is going to end up costing you money. Now, when I first saw this Sagittarius, my first question was, is this Sagittarius or somebody else? Because I did a little bit of a nudge of this distracted person that's costing you money might actually be somebody who works underneath of you. So if you own your own company, this could be somebody that you hired. If you're a supervisor, this could be somebody, you know, lower than you on the totem pole that's costing you money. But I feel like whenever I asked that question, the stronger feeling came in of that this is something that you're handling in a way that's costing you money. So to me, for most of you, I think it's going to be strictly you. But for some of you, it's going to be both. It's going to be, and when I say it's going to be both, what I mean is that somebody is going to be mishandling something. They're going to be making some rash decisions and it's going to cost you some money. But I think it also comes back to you because of your oversight of this person. You know, that you weren't keeping a good enough eye on them, that you didn't have them trained, they weren't completely informed about what they needed to know. So to me, this is, if this is somebody else, which once again, I really feel like that's the minority, but if it is somebody else that's under you, that's costing you some money, it would be because of a lack of communication getting to that person for them to understand what it is they're actually supposed to be doing. So, advice on this, of course, when it comes to work, is to be very clear in your communication with other people about exactly what it is that needs to be done and exactly how you want it done and by when, all of the details. Now, for those of you that this is resonating more as this could be you because you're not focused, the really advice here, the only real good here is try to get yourself to where you can put your mind in a calmer place and you can actually focus. Try to double check everything you're doing. You know, if you're a contractor and somebody's ordering you to do, you know, something to a room in their house, try to make sure that, you know, you're not doing that thing to that room in a house and then it turns out that it's not supposed to be that house, it's supposed to be the next person on the list that you're supposed to go to house. You know, you just don't want those types of mistakes. You want to just be making sure that you're checking and double checking everything right now because you don't want to have to pay money for something that could have been avoided. All right, so that's about work. That's the heads up there. I hope I hope you guys benefit from that. Let's look at inner work next. I think that there has been somebody that you poured out your heart to who was not honest in their response to you, maybe wasn't honest in general to you. And I think your work has to do with the idea of catching red flags and noticing red flags before you pour that much of yourself out, or testing people before you pour that much of yourself out to them. Your inner work is around finding caution before you make yourself that vulnerable to somebody else, but also having that balance to know that there are a lot of good people in the world, and there are people that you can actually talk to and pour out to like that. And so not to become, part of that work is not to become cynical because of what's happened in the past, but also to know when to have your guard up and when to, when you have all the signs in front of you, to trust somebody. All right. Next thing that we're looking at, Sagittarius. We're looking at that part of your personality which is growing or expanding as you go through this particular time frame. Intuition is definitely getting stronger for you, Sagittarians. And it's interesting because I think it's getting stronger even though you're not really consciously putting in any extra effort or energy on strengthening it. I think there's something going on astrologically that is putting this in a better, easier to access, sort of bubbling up type of place for you. And what's interesting to me is that even though your intuition is getting stronger, which, intuition is my friend, obviously, for a lot of reasons, I think it has you a little bit unglued, is what I want to say. I think that your intuition is getting stronger. You're not really working to make it stronger. And I think that whatever is coming up has you a little bit tripped out and unglued, and has you really in a place of, I don't want my intuition to get stronger. Okay? And that you wouldn't be the first person for that to happen to. I've talked to lots of people that used to be strongly intuitive, and then something happened one day that scared them. And they shut it off. They just decided, I don't want to participate in this anymore. And the intuition didn't come knocking on their door anymore. This could actually happen with you with this situation. I don't think that you're totally at that point yet. But I think you're not far from it right here. I think you definitely don't want to take your intuition forward. You're not looking to grow it or expand it right now. Which is interesting because fire signs are very much magical reputation. So whatever you've seen must have been pretty disturbing. What I will tell you is that a lot of times that happens whenever we see or hear something that's pretty disturbing spiritually, and then whenever we understand why it happened, then it's no longer disturbing. So what I would recommend, if I was personally mentoring you and you were telling me about this, I would recommend you dig into where could this message possibly be coming from, and what could possibly be the meaning of it for you. What's the benefit to you of knowing this message? Because in my experience, Spirit doesn't send messages that are not beneficial to us. Okay? So I'll give you an example so you kind of know what I'm talking about, and because Spirit's nudging me to give you this example. So when I was learning what I call my psychic language or my spirit language, which does include the cards, but there's also other facets, I was taking time every day to go out and walk down by a creek near my house in nature and see what Spirit would have to say to me, and just pay attention to how messages were coming into me, and just really learn to communicate more easily and more free-flowing. And so I was in meditation, sitting on this big boulder down by the creek. It was just beautiful, wonderful temperature. I had shade around me from the trees. The creek was bubbling. I mean, it was just fantastic. If anything, it might have been a little bit chilly. I was wearing a jacket that day. But it was, a beautiful, wonderful day. And I got this image as I was meditating that popped up in my mind that is like the image for poison. It was bright green, skull, and crossbones underneath of it. And I was a little freaked out because I'm only supposed to be picking up stuff that's for my highest and best good and learning stuff that I can use to help other people to their highest and best good. So I'm looking at it with my eyes closed and I'm thinking, why am I seeing this? This is not good. How can this be for highest and best good? I just don't understand. What is this message supposed to be about? And I didn't want to open my eyes because I was afraid I would lose the image. And I wanted to focus on this image until I could figure out why I was actually getting it. And, you know, my brain is just going in circles. And so finally, I opened my eyes. And it was a good thing that I did. I think what inspired me to was I heard a sound off to the side of me. And when I opened my eyes and looked down, I realized that that sound was coming from probably what would be considered a teenage rattlesnake that had sensed my warmth and was about 6 inches from having his head in my lap at that point because he was coming towards the boulder that I was sitting on, and his head was halfway up the height of that boulder when I saw him. So 2 things happened instantaneously. First of all, I realized, oh, that's what that message was about. It was a warning. And secondly, I hopped up off that boulder and got away as fast as I could and as quietly as I could without disturbing the snake. So if you see something that you don't understand, that is scary, that just makes no sense to you, please don't feel alone. But also please realize there's probably a really good reason for it if you try to take the time to understand it. And try not to shut off. Try not to shut off that intuition because it's incredibly helpful. Okay, so enough storytelling. You guys are going to have the longest video ever. Already your first week was really long. Let's see, and this one, we're already at 18 minutes. We're only maybe halfway through. Okay, let's look at things that you stand for during this time frame. What do you stand for, Sagittarius? Okay, so you had some kind of situation where there was even give and take. I feel like this maybe even could have been an employment situation where there was even give and take. And so an employment situation with even give and take, in my mind, is where you're being paid fairly for what you're doing. Okay? But I've got a card right after that that basically says, I'm having a pity party. So if we've got a situation where we're being paid fairly for what we're doing, but we're having a pity party, then maybe what we're doing isn't getting us all the money that we want. So maybe our hours got cut at work. Maybe where we were working 40, 48 hours, maybe we were pulling in overtime. Well, now we're not. Now we're not pulling in overtime. Or if we were only working 40, now maybe they cut us back to 32 or 20, depending what the company has to do for their own survival. And so what I have coming up here is that for a bit, you looked at this as, oh no, what am I going to do? But it didn't take you long to go from what am I going to do to here's what I'm going to do. And you started realizing that you had some skills that you could use. And so I think that what you started doing, Sagittarius, is you either started doing volunteer work or you started doing something on the side that serves other people that feels like a gift whenever they receive it. Okay? And somebody has said something to you about this, and so you've had to defend this. All right? Now, how does this person feel about you after you've had this conversation? They feel like you are spending time and energy and maybe even money and sort of pouring it into a black hole. They would like to debate with you more on this or fight with you more on this, which tells me you probably had to tell them I'm done talking about it at some point. And they are open to that debate or that fight at any time. at any time. So they may be making snide little comments, they may be dropping little hints. They are basically trying to get you to engage in some kind of conversation about this situation with them again, because apparently this is really bothering them for them to be acting this way. It looks to me like you took an opportunity and made good with it. That's how it comes across to me. All right. La da 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 la da da da. Next, we're looking at your flex time during this time frame, Sagittarius. This is just where things start to shape up differently or turn in a little bit of a direction, different direction for you. I do think that you've got some kind of travel happening here, whether this is, you know, driving for a couple of hours in the car just to get out of the house and get away from the restrictions of being, you know, trying to stay safe all the time from the virus, or whether this is, you know, actual big travel. I do think that you've got some travel coming up here, and I think that the travel that's happening is not over during this time frame. So you may be doing legs of travel, like you may be one day traveling from one place to another place, spending some time there, and then taking another destination and going there, spending some time there. So it looks to me like you are definitely traveling. It looks to me like you're feeling like you have everything that you need to do this traveling, and that this traveling is not over. So this is a longer trip. It's not something that is going to be finished up by the time the 14th of November rolls around. All right. Next thing that we want to look at is going to be what's going on at the same time as this. It looks to me like you're waiting for something, and as you're waiting, you're thinking things over and sort of sorting things out in your own mind, getting a new perspective here. And you're looking at an ending that happened previously, and you're thinking about how that ending has actually, instead of making you feel like you're isolated, has made you feel like you're more connected with the people around you, and has also freed up some of your finances so that there's a little bit more breathing room there where there didn't used to be. And so I think you're getting a new perspective on that. I don't think you saw it that way before. Also during this time frame, during your flex period, it looks to me like you may be, Sagittarians, you may be not interacting so much with other people, particularly people that are of romantic interest, but could be, you know, friends and family members as well. But it looks to me like you're sort of holding them at bay because you want to take some time to rest and rejuvenate for yourself. So this could be saying, you know, I can't go on a date on Friday. I'm going to the hot springs, or I'm going to the spa, or whatever. This could be turning off the cell phone and getting some time away so that you can rest and rejuvenate. This can be going hiking where you don't have reception. There's a lot of ways that this can play out, but it looks to me like you're doing something to rest and rejuvenate yourself, to sort of refuel yourself. And I feel like, Sagittarians, I feel like you're doing this intentionally, alone, or just with a tiny, tiny group. Maybe just one other person, maybe. But I think for most of you, you're actually doing this alone. This rest and rejuvenation, you're doing this on your own. And when I say you're doing it alone, I don't have any sense that you're lonely just because you're alone. I think you're thoroughly enjoying the quiet. Now let's look at where you guys are at the end of this particular week. I can see why you're getting a way to rejuvenate. So there's somebody in your life who has been operating in a way that's not honest, not healthy, not productive for anybody but them. They've been selfish, dishonest. They twist things around. They try to get you to jump through hoops for them, and they'll tell you anything to get you to jump through these hoops for them. And I think that this has sort of put out your fire, Sagittarius, in some ways. You know, it has taken away your want to do stuff and your enthusiasm about a lot of things in life. And I think what we've got going on here is that alarms you. I mean, that's an innate part of your personality. That should alarm you. I think that alarms you, and you're taking some time to really be analytical about this situation and think this situation through, and also think through how you want to interact with this person in the future. What are you going to do to change the course of those interactions? That's what I see really. You're really thinking about this. You may even be talking to somebody who can help you with dealing with a personality like this. If you're not, I feel like some of you will talk to somebody, but I also feel like most of you are going to be able to think this through and analyze it pretty well for yourself and figure out a solution to the situation going on with this person who's basically, I mean, they basically have strong narcissistic tendencies. They're trying to manipulate you. Okay, so where we see you at the end of that time frame is working on solving a problem. We like solving problems. That's a good thing. All right. So let me go ahead and wrap this up. I'll come back and then we'll look at that third week in November. I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back, Sagittarius. We are ready for the third week of November. That is going to be November 15th through the 21st. We're just going to put a nice shuffle on these cards before we put them down. Thank you so much for being here, for hanging out with me. Spending time with me. Thank you for thumbs ups on the videos, and thank you for sharing these videos with other people who may find them beneficial as well. The more people I get to help, the happier I am. I'm all about that ripple effect. These videos don't cost anything to watch, and hopefully they will be helpful. La da 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 da. Okie dokie. Let's start with the environment again, Sagittarius, the way we always start here. And what are we looking at with the environment? You are either spending some time in an environment that you have been in before, previously, or you are doing something in your environment that you haven't done for a while, and you're enjoying bringing that back into the environment. I do think that there's something going on where you have some kind of message coming in that lets you know that you're free to make some changes, make some upgrades, encouraging you to move forward. And I do think that you are sharing some experiences in your environment with other people. And these seem actually joyful to me. I like that. Joyful. Such a nice word, isn't it? Joyful. All right. Let's look next at your subconscious leanings, Sagittarius. What do we have going on here? I think you guys might have somebody you're having a hard time letting go of. There is somebody that you care very deeply about showing up here, and that you're feeling really isolated from them, and you want that to be over. And so in your subconscious, you really are working on, how do I get rid of that isolated feeling from this person, because I do care so much about them. I think it's more complicated than that. I think it's much more complicated than that, but that gives you a tiny little snapshot. All right, my dears. Let's look at learning style and communication style as it pertains to this particular time frame. I feel like you are looking into ways to either invest your money or save your money right now. That is one thing that you're learning about, something to do with your money long term, to hold on to it in one way or another, maybe even grow it. Probably even grow it for most of you. There is some movement that you want to take forward, but there's a lot of confusion about what's the best way to do that right now. And I think that you're trying to sort through all that confusion. And then we do have emotions. I think that everything, I shouldn't say everything, but there's definitely a situation that you're seeing through a much more emotional lens than you're seeing anything else through, as we are talking about your learning style. And so you may be picking up some information in this area in a way that's not necessarily accurate, but either fits your fantasy or fits your nightmare, whichever way this may apply to you. La da da da. You want to be careful about what it is that you're wrapping a lot of emotion around that information, because emotion wrapped around information really can distort things. So you want to try to detach and really look at things more objectively. Communication style. You are talking with somebody about money. Remember, we saw you were learning about how to invest money or save money. I think you are communicating with somebody about doing that. Financial advisor, maybe a spouse, but there's somebody that, you know, this is a topic, a significant topic during this time frame. I think you are talking about also, remember we have this topic about something that you want to move forward on, but there's so much confusion about how to do that. I think you're actually talking with somebody about that, about how do you keep your head excuse me, how do you keep your head above that confusion? How do you find clarity when the material manifestation around you is so confusing right now? I think, you know, you're talking to somebody about that, or somebody's actually maybe even coaching you about that. And there is also at least one conversation coming up here about this whole idea that we're all woven together. Not just humans, that humans all interact with each other and impact each other, but all the living beings on the planet. So I think that's going to be a topic of conversation that comes up during this time frame. I also think that right now, well, not right now, because I'm recording, not on live camera, but hearing this, I can really hear you guys saying that is a very unlikely topic for me to discuss with anybody. But it's funny because I can also hear your thoughts of surprise after it happens coming back towards me after that. So I think have fun with that one. That's what I think. I certainly am having fun with it now. Did I ever tell you guys skeptics are my favorite people to read for? They are. Actually, it was reading for a skeptic very, 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 very early in my career, like pre-career, really. I was just reading for mostly friends before that. This was a stranger. And I read for him, and that was when I decided I had to do this for the public. I love reading for skeptics. All right. La da 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 da. Next thing that we're looking at here has to do with your work. Something definitely does not feel right for you about work. Here's the thing though, it's giving you money that you're able to put back and stash away and keep for a rainy day. When I say something doesn't feel right about work, I feel like there's some kind of moral dilemma that you have with the work that you're doing now. You know, maybe if you're a salesperson, maybe your bosses are asking you to push a product that you think is inherently unhealthy. I mean, I'm just grabbing at thin air right now. And so you're pushing this product because you're making enough money. You may be making commissions out the wazoo. You're putting away money, stashing it away for the future, but it doesn't feel good. You know, morally, it just doesn't feel good. It kind of makes your skin crawl type of thing. You know, now that's just an example, but there's something going on that has to do with work that just does not feel right to you. And I don't mean, it's a question of integrity. It's a question of this, whatever this is that you're being asked to do for money is going against your own integrity, your own personal integrity. I think that once we get more close to the end of this time frame, I think you may even be transferred to something else so that you're not having things that are going against your integrity show up. In spite of the fact that there's a lot of money in this thing that you're doing. I just think you don't want to, I just think it feels so bad to you that you don't want to do it. Like there's not a price that can buy peace. And I think you want to have peace with what you're actually doing for work. Let's see. Let's look at inner work. There is a situation in your life where there's a lot of confusion. We kind of saw this earlier, didn't we? In learning style and communication style. And because there's so much confusion around this situation, your inner work is to hold back and to not judge, to not put out an opinion, to not say things in a rash way, because the facts aren't out. And so I think that your inner work really is that, to keep the lips zipped when it comes to this situation. You don't want to share with other people what you think is going on because you're not really sure. There's too much confusion. I just don't, I feel like your inner work is all about just kind of keeping everything to yourself, at least until things are much more plain and clear around that situation. That's inner work. And I think that's hard for you, Sagittarius. I think you feel like you want to blow the alarm whistle, but you know that that could be problematic if you don't have all the evidence you need when you're blowing that whistle. That's your inner work. Now, let's look at that part of your personality, which is growing or expanding right now, Sagittarius. You do have some good news coming in about money. Whoop, whoop. Yeah. And that, I think you have been hoping for some kind of good news or good information coming in about money, because that frees you up to actually collaborate with somebody that you've been wanting to collaborate with for a while. I'm liking that. That's wonderful. There's some freedom in there. There's the feeling of freedom in that. Okay. Let's look next. Let's look next. Okay, so next what I'm looking at are those things that you stand for during this time frame. I've explained that on the last 2 time frames, so I'm not going to go into that big explanation right now. And then we'll look at how that person that you stood for this to or explained this to sees you. So, things that you stand for. Patience. You're really having patience in a situation that has to do with multiple people. And part of the reason that you're having patience is because you are letting information come to the surface, and you know that if you rush the situation, that not all the information that you need is going to come to the surface. So you're kind of letting things sort of pan out before you make any moves here. And this is something that somebody has questioned you about and you have defended. Now, how this other person is seeing you, they're seeing you as somebody who is looking at opportunities in spite of disappointments. So they're seeing you as somebody who's been through some stuff, but you've kind of shrugged off the disappointments that you've been through. And instead you're looking at, well, that's okay, that didn't work out. I'm not thrilled about it, but what can I start working on now? You know, you're not spending a lot of time moping around in old energy that didn't work. You're stepping right up to the next thing and starting to work with that. They are seeing you as somebody who really is not in love with anyone or any particular thing at the moment. And they feel like you really don't have any choice right now about what you're doing with this situation. They feel like you don't have any choice but to wait and see after you've had this conversation with them. So they feel like you're taking a positive outlook. They also feel like you're not prejudiced. When I say that you're not in love with anybody in this situation, anybody or anything, you're not prejudiced. You're not holding one as the favorite over the other. There is no favorite here. And they feel like, you have no choice but to wait and see what comes out of this situation and let the information come to you. That's how they're feeling. So in other words, they're on the same page with you. That's kind of nice. I like it when that happens. All right. Let's look next at your flex time. Flex time for Sagittarius. Okay. So what's going on during your flex time? You're healing a heartache. You're getting over something. I don't know if you're getting closure with another person, or if you're finding closure, creating closure for yourself, but I do see you coming into this place where you're no longer reliant on that person for how you feel or how you're doing financially. You're coming up as being very self-sufficient, both emotionally and financially. And it looks like the reason you were able to heal over this is because the truth has come out about something. Whether the other person told you the truth or whether you discovered the truth, when this truth comes out is when that healing starts taking place and you're no longer feeling dependent or missing somebody or something from your life. Okay. Next thing that we're looking at is what else is happening during this time frame. I do see that you are very emotionally satisfied and fulfilled, spending some time with somebody who is very much a leader, like a natural leader. They're good at inspiring people naturally. They make very mature decisions, so you can count on them to not be making irrational decisions that kind of drive you crazy type of thing. But there's somebody who really steps up to the plate and has accountability in their leadership. And I feel like this person may even be giving you some kind of gift or maybe giving you some kind of offer. They may want to even start some type of romantic relationship with you. And I think that, you're really enjoying spending the time with them. Whether you're going to take them up on that offer as far as an official relationship, sure, from these cards, but I do feel like you're really enjoying your time with them. There's also something coming up here at the same time that is coming as a surprise to you. So while you're healing, while this other person, not the person that you're healing from, that's two different energies, is coming in with some kind of offer. We also have something else happening as a surprise, and this is something that has been waiting to happen. It's been in the works. This has been going on behind the scenes for a while, or has been prepping behind the scenes for a while. And you have somebody who's going to be communicating with you. It's going to be a complete surprise to you. I don't think you're expecting to hear from this person. And when you hear from them, what's interesting to me is this person has waited a while to make this communication. But when you hear from them, they're not communicating in a way that is nice or kind or even friendly. They are communicating in a way of more throwing a fit, basically, a grown-up version of a fit when they communicate with you. And like I said, it's going to be a surprise when they communicate with you. I feel like this person is going to be complaining that you didn't do this or you didn't do that. And maybe they're even going to say that's why they haven't communicated in all this time or whatever. Whatever is happening there, first of all, it definitely hits you as a surprise. And I don't think you're going to be very, even if this is something that you were waiting for, which I'm not sure that you were since it's a surprise, but even if you were waiting for it at one point and you kind of had visions of how this would go, I don't think that this is going to go that way. And I think that this person really is going to put you off. Like where you may have envisioned this before, of this person coming back and saying something to you, apologizing, wanting to get back together, whatever it is that you kind of envisioned before. And I think you envisioned yourself being very receptive to whatever this idea is. I think when this person comes back, first of all, they're probably not apologizing. They may not be saying anything about getting back together if that's what you were waiting for. What they're saying is just grumpy. It's grumpy. It's grumpy and it's not true. That's the other thing you need to know. It's not true. All right? So where do we see you at the end of the week, Sagittarius? All right, so I see you kind of recovering from that conversation by doing something that is pampering. Some of you will be doing this pampering thing with somebody else, so it could be that maybe somebody else takes you out to dinner and you do something sweet and romantic. But this also very much has the sense to me of just, you doing something that pampers you, that cares for you. And you are taking control of your situations in your life. When we get to the end of this week, I think this is really talking about, after that conversation, you take control of this situation, where you might have been waiting for something before, and so the other person was in control because they hadn't ended that waiting. Now that they've said something, the waiting has ended, and now you're taking control because you've seen by how they talk or how they act that this is just not something that's going to work very well for you. And so you're taking control. You're not letting them have control while you wait anymore. You're done with waiting. And as you're taking control, I think you have also decided you're not interested in interacting with this person at the same level that you were before. In fact, you may not be interested in interacting with this person at all, the way that they've behaved. But you're definitely, like, if they ask if you guys can get back together or something like that, you're definitely going to be saying no. I don't think you want interactions with them going forward, and you're taking control of that situation. All right? So there's that time frame. Let me take a little break. I'll come back, and we'll do the last part of November. See you soon. Welcome back, Sagittarius. This is the last time around, and this time we're looking at November the 22nd through the 30th. So we've got a 9-day spread here. Let's see what comes up. Okay, I think we're ready. Let's put down some cards. Alrighty, so let's start with environment. Environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. It looks like it's coming as a surprise to you, but you are getting a chance to have input on what you would like your environment to be like. And I think that you are really enjoying and loving that whole concept that you get to put feedback in on that. On some changes you would like to make. Alrighty, let's look next at subconscious leanings for you, Sagittarius. La da 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 da. Okay, so it does look like things are loosening up as far as financially for you right now, and you want to be a little careful because it looks like as things are loosening up, you're spending a lot of money at the same time. So you want to be careful not to overdo it, because that's the first thing when I look at this combination is like things are loosening up, but you know, it looks like you're spending at a whole different level than what they've loosened up to. So you want to be a little bit careful about that, but I do think that, you know, you're spending this on things that you really love, that you enjoy. These may have a lot of sentimental meaning, some of the things that you're spending your money on right now, and that's subconscious. So it's stuff you're thinking about spending your money on. You're thinking about things easing up, and you're kind of thinking about, well, I'm really going to be spending when this happens. Just cool the jets a little bit. Cool the jets a little bit to keep yourself in the black there, okay? Alright, next thing we're looking at talks to me about learning style and also communication style during this particular time frame. There's a lot of learning that has to do with spirituality during this time frame for you, Sagittarius. These could be things that you're learning through meditation. You could be taking some kind of philosophy or spirituality type of class. There's definitely something going on in that area. Also, there is something that you're learning that I think has to do with communication or some kind of skill that is enhanced by communication. Okay, learning about that. And then what is this last thing? This last thing that you're learning about is incorporating value into your life. It's about incorporating value into your life. I wonder where Venus is in your chart right now. Okay, let's look at communication style. Very sharp, very pointed communication, very direct. I don't really see you mincing any words here. Whatever you say is very much to the point. In some cases, it could even be a little bit over assertive, maybe a little bit aggressive. Some of the words that you're saying could actually cut. You do have somebody in your sphere of influence, though, that you are communicating with in a different way. And this is much softer. This is more about feelings, where I feel like the other stuff had to do more with tangible things. This is more about feelings and more about what's important to you. This has to do with value, once again, that you're communicating with somebody about value, and this is not in a sharp or cutting type of way that you're communicating this. Okay? So that's learning and communication style. Next, Sagittarius, what we're going to look at is work. So I think there's something going on with your job where you're going to be changing jobs, possibly changing departments, maybe completely changing jobs. I feel like you've kind of taken a break to sort of think about this, and now that you've had your break to think about this, you've realized that, yes, now is the time to make some kind of leap. I think that your employer is probably coming to you during this time frame, Sagittarius, and saying, you know, if you come back, things will be different. If you come back, we'll pay you more. If you come back, we'll make sure you have a reasonable amount of hours, however that would work out for you. Whatever it is, I think that your employer or former employer is coming to you with some kind of offer to sweeten the deal, and you are just not into that. I think you're looking around and you're seeing that you have lots of other options that you could move with right now. I know that sounds like a cray-cray thing to say with the COVID we have going on and with all the people that are still looking for jobs, but this is what's coming up on the board for you, that you do have lots of other options and you're very aware of them. I don't think you've focused on which one you actually want to take, but I think that just knowing that you have other options is keeping you from being really rambunctious and excited about going back to where you've already stepped away from. As far as inner work, I do feel like you've been through something that was really difficult, and it could be relationship-wise. Doesn't have to be, but could be. But you went through something that was really difficult, and it did take a certain amount of time to heal or recover from that. And I think that right now you're on the verge of manifesting something even better than what that was to fill that thing's old place. And so right now, you're still daydreaming about what would it be like if I had the ideal whatever. The ideal job, the ideal relationship, the ideal house, the ideal vehicle, whatever. You're still just visualizing that. You're not at the point yet where you're actually taking any manifest steps. You are just at the very beginning stages of manifesting something better to replace whatever that was that put you through such a hard time just recently. Very recently, you've gotten over that. All right, Sagittarius. Next thing we're looking at is that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded right now. Right now being the time in the corner, so November 22nd through the 30th. Okay, so I feel like there has been somebody in your life who, how do I want to say this? I don't want to say that they work black magic, although in some cases that may be what's going on. But there's somebody who they used to really manipulate you, and you never really even saw what their motives were until it was already all said and done. And I think that you have seen the truth about this person. You have seen, you know, what really motivates them, what moves them forward. You've seen that. And I think you're disappointed in this, and you're making a decision. You're making a decision about how you're going to handle this moving forward. And this feels to me like it's a very concrete, like I have made this line in the sidewalk before it dries, and when it dries that line is still going to be there type of thing. So I think you're definitely drawing a line to where you're not going to be taken advantage of or used by this person in the way that you have before. And there's such a feeling of disappointment here. I think this is somebody that you really loved and that you thought by doing the things that you were doing that you were actually helping them, when actually just the reverse turned out to be true. They probably have some kind of addiction issue too, for a lot of you. All right, next thing that we're looking at are those things that you stand for during this time frame. I have explained that in the other time frames. I'm not going to go into that right now. But basically, there is somebody who has come back from the past, brought back some sentimental good memories, but it seems like there's a lot going on in your life right now. And so even though you're glad to see them and you're hoping everything is well for them, I don't think you feel like it's a good time to really go back to interacting with them in the way that you did before. Excuse me. And so this is something that you've had to stand for. Probably that person is saying, well, how come? Why not? You know, we had such a good time before. How this other person sees you after you've had this discussion is they see you as being really, as restricting yourself through your own thoughts, through your own perspective, and they see you as waiting, as not really moving forward with anything, and they also feel like you don't really care about them anymore the way that you used to. And so they just see everything sort of being in limbo for you because of your perspective or your outlook, and that perspective or outlook being one that doesn't care for them anymore. I feel like I just repeated myself there, so we need to move on. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about that flex time during this cycle. And so we're going to see how things start to shape up in a little bit of a different way. Why do we have this grumpy liar back again, Sagittarius? We saw him last time. I don't like grumpy liars. You're taking control of a situation. This grumpy liar person is giving you some kind of second chance. As if you want a second chance with a grumpy liar. Who wants that? They're offering you a second chance. You're taking control of this situation. You're in charge now. They used to pull all the strings before. Now you're in charge. Let's see what's going on. Are you going to take them up on this? I hope not. We don't want to spend extra time with grumpy liars, do we? What's happening here? Yeah, you're not very enthused about this at all. You're refusing to make any kind of plans with them. And in fact, you're setting up boundaries between yourself and them. So definitely taking them up on this second chance. Second chance. Who wants that second chance? Okay, Sagittarians. What else is going on at the same time? Yeah. Yeah, you're kind of feeling like that second chance is a choice that offers you the unhappiness, something that's going to drain your energy and your emotions, and something that is going to be not reciprocal at all. Like you're going to put more energy and effort into it than they are. That's the choice that they're giving you whenever they make you this offer. So we can see why you're putting up boundaries there. Yeah. Well, you know, when I saw the grumpy liar, I saw that right away anyway, but there's just more of seeing why we wouldn't want to do that. Okay, Sagittarius, what is going on here? What you have here, my people, is a situation. A situation. I don't know who I've heard say situation. Somewhere. Anyway, it's a situation. You have a situation here. The situation is that you're manifesting everything that you want to manifest right now into your life. Problem is you're still hung up on something from the past and you're having a hard time really getting it shook out of your aura. Probably an old relationship is what I'm going to say. Because if you're manifesting like crazy, first of all, probably somebody is looking at you very lovingly, plus you're bringing in the material goods that you want into your life. And then I've got this other card that says, oh, but I miss somebody. Well, you're not missing their money, and you're not missing that relationship because there are other relationships around you if you're manifesting. You know, you have somebody who's an admirer who is sitting right next to you here on the table. You're not missing romance. You've still got that in your life. So what's going on? How come you're still holding this person in your aura? There's still somebody that you're holding in your aura, and you're not quite able to shake them loose just yet. Why not? Why aren't you shaking them loose? You've got everything you want. And you're letting this old energy hold you back. Let's look at a little more about this. If I was going to do like an extended read and charge for extended reads, this is where we would go into an extended and I would charge for that, but I don't want to do an extended read and charge for it. At least not now. My mind might change later. We're going to expand on this a little bit. No. You had a situation where somebody was cheating on you. And for some of you, this person was actually, they were cheating on you with somebody who was at work. There was a lot of gossip. I think just about everybody at work knew about it. Somebody finally told you about this. This is what you're having a hard time getting over. And I can understand that because there's a lot of times when you don't know why. You just don't get the answers of why did this happen? You know, why was that other person better than me? Why was my person even looking at other people? You know, there's just so many questions there that it seems like, you know, until we answer those questions, it's hard for us to let go because we keep thinking about that. So really the challenge that I'm seeing here for you, because you have everything that you want, Sagittarius, the challenge that I'm seeing is in letting this go and making peace with the idea that, you know what, I'm not always going to know the answers. I may never know the answers. And it's okay if I don't know the answers. Something that I used to tell people a lot, because it used to come up a lot for me for a while when I was doing readings, is that if you understood the way this other person thought, that would be scary. Because how they're thinking is so out of whack. You know, if you have somebody that is that disloyal to you, that you have no clue what happened or why, and they just, on the flip of a dime, became disloyal. If you understood how they thought, that would mean you would have to think very similar to them. And that would make you a whole different person. So it's okay to not understand them. It's okay to not understand what happened. It's okay to just let that information go and float down the creek of nothingness. Because it doesn't matter. It's in the past. And what's going to help you to move forward is by focusing on the now. And I know it's difficult, but that's what you're being challenged to do right now, is focus on the now. You have everything good in front of you. Focus on the now so that you can let go of the past. Okay? So that's what I've got for your month, Sagittarius. Let me go ahead and wrap this up, and then we'll get it uploaded so you can have access to it soon. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate that. I also appreciate all the thumbs ups, and I appreciate the shares. And of course, you guys know I do offer private readings and private Reiki sessions, either 1-question or 2-question recorded readings or live readings via Skype or phone. And so I want to thank those of you who are ordering those. Everybody, thank you so much for being a part of my life and a part of my business. I do appreciate you all. Everybody have a fantastic, fantastic month. And if I don't see you here for a private session between now and then, I'll see you all back on the next video. Peace out.